It was 8:46 a.m. on 9/11/2001 when the first plane struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center, marking the first blow of radical Islam's declaration of war on the United States. Most Americans cannot erase from our minds 3,000 innocent people. The most recent 9/11 was marked by renewed violence in Benghazi, Libya. Radical Islam is as active and determined as ever. 12 years have passed since the beginning of this assault on the values of the Western world, and this is a good time to assess where we are, what we have learned from this low point in our history, who is responsible for this man-made disaster, and learn the reasons it was planned.
Welcome to Stakelbeck on Terror. You know, every week on this show, we aim to bring you the truth, all of it, with no consideration over hurt feelings or political correctness. Now, I care what my family thinks, I care what my employer thinks, and most of all, I care what God thinks. But that's it. This is no time to mince words, folks. This is a time to be bold and to speak truth to power. To be watchmen and women on the wall. Time is short.
Erick Stakelbeck, thank you so much for being with us today. I want to welcome you and introduce you as the author of The Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy, a best-selling book all across the country. You're also a CBN reporter, an expert on the Middle East, and the host of Stakelbeck on Terror. UCI appreciates you and everything you do as one of the best investigative reporters on the planet. At CBN, you present the truth at a time when the mainstream media ignores it. We're so proud to have you with us today.
Oh, Esther, great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome, and may we begin by introducing your new book.
Sure. I'd love to, Esther. Thanks so much for having me, and hello to everyone out there. And the book is called The Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy. And I really wrote this book because I was sick of this mainstream media narrative that the Muslim Brotherhood are the good guys, that they're moderate. The mainstream media is telling us that. The Obama administration is telling us that. And I wanted to set the record straight about this group and how dangerous they are, Esther. Basically, the Muslim Brotherhood is the granddaddy of them all when it comes to modern Islamic terrorist groups. They spawned al-Qaeda. They created Hamas. And I make the point in the book, Esther, it might shock some people, but I say, look, without the Muslim Brotherhood, if they were never created in Egypt way back in 1928, 9/11 would have never happened. I say that without hesitation. Every major player in the 9/11 attacks, from Osama bin Laden to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to the 9/11 hijackers, before they created al-Qaeda, they belonged to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is really the gateway drug to Islamic terrorism. And Esther, I make the point in the book that if there was a terrorist Mount Rushmore someplace in the deserts of Saudi Arabia, the founders of the Muslim Brotherhood, their images would be carved in it. So every American, if they want to understand this war on terror that we're involved in right now, and why we see our embassies shut down, why we see suicide bombings, why we see all of this mayhem, they must first understand the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is where it all started. One of the things, Esther, I think that sets this book apart is I'm not just analyzing events from an air-conditioned think tank in Washington, D.C. I'm on the ground meeting with Muslim Brotherhood operatives face-to-face. I recount in the book how I've interviewed these Brotherhood guys in their homes, in their offices, in their mosques, in their enclaves. And the reason they're so dangerous is because they are not al-Qaeda when it comes to tactics. Yes, the Brotherhood created al-Qaeda, but when it comes to tactics and delivery, they're completely different. To my mind, the Muslim Brotherhood is much more dangerous. They wear suits and ties. They speak in fluent English. They are well-cultured. They are Western educated. And Esther, as I said, I've met them face-to-face. They're very charming. If I didn't know any better, I might actually like them. And that's why they're so dangerous. They work stealthily. They move in the shadows. and they put up this moderate veneer for a Western audience. And typically, the naive liberal Western journalist who meets with the Brotherhood is charmed. They're great guys. Why would they lie? Western leaders say the same thing. The Muslim Brotherhood has successfully, here in the West, put up this moderate front that has enabled them to infiltrate really the halls of power in the US and Europe. Look, their goal is to get jobs in the media, in academia, in the government. And I outline in the book how this strategy has been so successful. We have Muslim Brotherhood linked individuals, Esther, actually advising our government on its counterterrorism and Middle East policies. This is the epitome of the fox guarding the henhouse. And in the book, I name names. And I'll throw a name out at you real quick. Mohammed Majid. This is a guy whose father was a leading Muslim Brotherhood operative in Sudan, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Majid is linked to a litany of Muslim Brotherhood groups. I lay it all out in the book. It's meticulously footnoted. And he is a guy who is advising our Department of Homeland Security, Esther. He is on a countering violent extremism group, advising DHS on its Middle East and counterterrorism policies. So you wonder why our policies are so pro-Muslim Brotherhood. We have Brotherhood operatives advising our government. This is madness. The Obama administration has made a determination that the Muslim Brotherhood are the good guys, and that we can use, because they wear suits and ties and they're not blowing anyone up yet, we can use them as a counterweight against Al-Qaeda. Esther, this is madness. At the end of the day, the Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda differ in tactics. Look, the Brotherhood is, as I said, slow. It's gradualism. They're like termites burrowing into a host society and eating away at it from within. Al-Qaeda says, hey, we want to kill you now, blow you up now. We know what Al-Qaeda wants. So the tactics differ. The Brotherhood takes the long view. Al-Qaeda wants it now. But at the end of the day, the end game, the goals are the same. Sharia law for one and all, whether we like it or not, and the return of that Islamic caliphate, that Islamic superstate, Esther, that would see every Muslim nation united militarily, economically, politically, speaking with one powerful voice at the UN against Israel, against the West, and controlling a good supply of the world's oil. That is the ultimate goal for every radical Islamic group, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda. And by the way, in terms of the Brotherhood being supposedly nonviolent, as the administration likes to tell us, Hamas is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. That's not me saying it. Hamas's own documents, Esther, self-identify Hamas, a group which has killed American citizens, which kills Jewish women and children every day. Hamas self-identifies itself as, quote, the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is the Brotherhood. I have an entire chapter on Hamas in the book, Esther. They are inseparable from the Muslim Brotherhood. They are part of that movement. And the Brotherhood, by the way, although they took a hit in Egypt recently, they're down but not out. Remember, they are present in some 80 countries around the world. The Brotherhood, their main hub, I call it the brothership, is Egypt, but they're present in some 80 countries around the world, yes, including here in America.
Is there any hope 12 years later after 9/11 and what was a supreme wake-up call for us? Why don't we get it? Is political correctness the rule of the day? Is what's binding our hands? You're brave and you're speaking out, but what about so many other neutralized people who are afraid to say the wrong word? You can't say terrorist even.
Yeah, it's not terrorism. It's not jihad, Esther. It's violent extremism. That's the new lexicon we have for the United States. This is the equivalent during World War II of not being able to call Hitler and his war machine Nazis. Look, we're not fighting Buddhists. We're not fighting Hindus, and we're not fighting Irish nuns. If we were, we would name them for who they are. We are fighting Islamic jihadists, radical Islamists. Not every Muslim is a terrorist, and not every Muslim is a radical. We know that. But there is a significant chunk of the Muslim world that has declared war against the United States. And if you can't identify the enemy, you cannot defeat the enemy. What is the first rule of war? Know your enemy. Esther, we fail that test miserably. I'm sitting here in Washington, D.C. right now, the belly of the beast inside the Beltway. And I can tell you, up on Capitol Hill, there was only a handful of members of Congress who truly grasp this issue. You know, you think back to the Cold War, and you think back to a guy like Ronald Reagan, who devoured everything he could get his hands on about Marxism, the Soviet threat, communism. By the time he became president, he was ready to challenge the Soviets and win the Cold War. We need that same kind of intellectual curiosity and intellectual honesty right now among our leadership, and we don't have it. Political correctness, a big factor here. I think there's two tracks, though, Esther, at the end of the day, for our government's support. And yes, they are supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. I talk about this in a chapter in the book. On the one hand, we have the naive bureaucrats at the State Department who who believe what the Brotherhood says and they say, hey, we can work with these guys. They're moderate. But on the other track, to my mind, you have kind of the revolutionary leftist track among the hardcore left in this country, including members of this administration, who see a kindred spirit of sorts in the Islamists, in that they both are not fond of Judeo-Christian Western civilization. That's the more troubling track to my mind. So it's a dangerous thing going on right now. And meanwhile, the Brotherhood is standing back, they're smiling, and they're gaining power.
Where are we heading now in terms of understanding our dire situation? I know the students are besieged on campus by very far left professors who are inculcating all kinds of non-Judeo-Christian ethics. How do we, and religion, and going back to the 7th century, the Ottoman Empire, how do we impart our bit of knowledge here and spread it to a point where students begin to comprehend and our legislators begin to comprehend what's really going on.
Right, Esther, I think a few things here. I think number one, groups like yours, UCI, you're doing such important work because you are an educational institution and you're getting a chance to get in front of lawmakers, get in front of the halls of power. So I salute UCI, I salute what you're doing, and we need more organizations like UCI, like CUFI, Christians United for Israel, to make their voices heard on Capitol Hill, in the halls of power. That's really the only way this is going to get done, because look, this fight we're in, this civilizational struggle we're in, our government and our mainstream media has basically taken a pass on it, and in many cases, they're aiding and abetting the bad guys. It's going to be a grassroots movement. We're going to win from the ground up. And what I say is, number one, we need more grassroots groups. You think of the Tea Party and what an effect they had. If we could have a Tea Party type movement, but on the issues of radical Islam, of supporting Israel, then we could have a very effective movement, I believe. We need to move in the halls of power, establish more groups, and with social, look, we're not going to win through the mainstream media. That's not going to happen. CBS, ABC, NBC, etc. We are not going to break through, no matter how hard we try. To me, I say forget them. I say we have alternative media now. Look what you and I are doing right now. We have a Skype interview. We'll blast this out online to contacts around the world. I think with the internet now, with talk radio, there are other venues. You look at what Glenn Beck's doing at the Blaze. You look at what CBN's doing. And Fox News is an alternative voice in many ways. Talk radio, of course, blogs. There are so many ways to get the message out, so many alternative ways to get the message out and build a grassroots movement. Because right now, half of the country basically is asleep, roughly. They're more concerned that Kim Kardashian is having a baby and getting married than they are with the barbarians at the gates. Not only at the gates, inside the gates, the radical Islamists. So my fear, and you mentioned 9/11 earlier, Esther, my fear, and God forbid, my fear is that it's going to take something big to wake Americans up, big and bad. I don't want that, obviously. We had the Boston bombings just a few months ago, and it was dominating the news cycle for about a week, and then everyone forgot about it. Well, look, that was significant in that 2 Islamic terrorists shut down a major American city for the better part of a week. That's a big deal. It shows the intent is there as well. And look, I hope people wake up. But in the meantime, people like you and I have to keep being watchmen and watchwomen on the wall, sounding the alarm and getting the message out there any way we can and praying. I think that's very important. Praying that the message gets through before it's too late.
How can we actually affect that? Do you think that by gathering people's voices together in a huge network that we can manage to actually oppose such a vital, live, growing force?
I do. I think look, the power of people coming together. Again, I think we saw that with the Tea Party, Esther. I think they were very effective. And the key with them is they were able to get politicians elected. Their people are now holding positions in office. It's such a boondoggle here in Washington, D.C. to get anything done. But this is still the place where decisions are made and where laws are made and laws are passed. So I think yes, we build the movement from the ground up, but we still need to have a voice in the halls of power. I think that's very important. And I think it's so easy now to get with like minded people because of social media, Facebook, Twitter, and everything else. You can connect and build a grassroots movement with like minded people. You really can. So I think we keep hammering away at that, using every alternative venue we can, gathering, have conferences where you're not just sitting around drinking coffee and catching up, but actually putting concrete plans into place. And I think we need to speak loudly, strongly, and boldly. I try to be bold and leave the consequences to God. And I think that's what we need right now. I believe God is looking for a few good men and women. I really do. To be brave, to be bold, to speak out. He's looking for some Daniels. He's looking for some Esthers. He really is. And I think that is, to my mind, that is the ultimate solution to what's going on right now. I feel like we've lost our way as a country in many ways morally. We've lost our moral compass, and we're shaking our fist at the God of Israel in many ways. That needs to change, or it's never going to turn around.
I would pledge that the Unity Coalition for Israel will accept that challenge and create what we hope will be a growing network of people who truly get it and who really understand the threat without poo-pooing it because they're out there in force. I so appreciate this talk with you. Is there anything else that you would perhaps like to share with us about maybe the anti-Semitism that has originated from the Islamic movement, really, that was part of Nazism?
This is a great point, Esther. First of all, I want to thank you, thank the Unity Coalition for Israel for having me. I love the work you're doing. Keep it up. Keep sounding the alarm. You are an inspiration. And real quick about the anti-Semitism, and in a chapter in the book about the history of the Muslim Brotherhood, I get into this. Look, the Muslim Brotherhood, to me, is the vanguard of modern global anti-Semitism, along with the Iranian regime, of course. But the Muslim Brotherhood has been doing it much longer. If you look back to the 1930s, the Brotherhood worked arm in arm with Hitler, with the Nazi war machine, to extend the final solution to the Jews of the Middle East and North Africa. They were burning down synagogues. They were harassing the Jews of Egypt. A lot of people might not know this, but in the 1930s, there were 80,000 Jews living in Egypt. Now there are under 100 Jews living there. And the Brotherhood really started these anti-Semitic pogroms in Egypt in the 1930s, early 40s, working with Hitler. And even further than that, Esther, they participated in the invasion of Israel in 1948. They sent battalions to help invade Israel in 1948, the fledgling state of Israel. So these are bad guys. And today it's no coincidence that Mohammed Morsi, the not so dearly departed Egyptian president, was captured on videotape a few months ago calling Jews the sons of apes and pigs. This is who the Brotherhood is. They are anti-Semitic to their core. And if they ever recognized Israel's right to exist, it wouldn't be the Brotherhood anymore. And you made a key point about the campuses, Esther, where all of this originates. The Muslim Brotherhood has a very strong footprint at our college campuses through a group called the Muslim Students Association. It's a group on hundreds of college campuses throughout North America. It is an affiliate of the Muslim Brotherhood. And you wonder why Jewish students on campus here in America are being attacked, being harassed, and all the horrible things going on at our campuses. I'd love to see UCI involved in the campuses. I know you are already. I like what CUFI is doing, Christians United for Israel, on our college campuses as well. It's a tough fight. That is truly the belly of the beast, our college campuses. But I think it's going to start with young people, and we need to find a way to make our message resonate with younger people. We have to. We're going to have to reach this next generation. We're going to have to do it. We got to keep plugging away at it. So I thank you again, Esther. And the book, again, is called The Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy. I actually have it here. It's got a fittingly blood red cover, as we're talking about the Muslim Brotherhood. I hope everyone picks it up and enjoys it. And it's doing very well right now. And I hope to get it in the hands of every lawmaker on Capitol Hill. I really do.
It provides a one-stop learning experience and a tutorial that everybody needs to read, and it's so readable, so well written. Thank you so very much for contributing to this generation, Erick. Thank you. And thank you for speaking with us today. It's moving, and we're going to move with it, with you.
Great. Esther, thanks so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Will you join the struggle to make the truth known? This series of video interviews along with key resources are available at democracyunderattack.com.